Now, on the topic of skin, and thinking about all the skin types that I have come across over the years, I would say, without doubt, I've probably got three main skin concerns that pop up for a lot of people. The first one is eczema, second, psoriasis, three, and definitely on the rise, is rosacea. Now you'll notice that there's an absolute common thread between all three of them. If you've heard of them before, they're all driven by inflammation. And I would say that generally speaking, a lot of them are driven by stress. And stress in turn stimulates inflammation. And inflammation is then going to impact on your skin. And over time, if your skin is not cared for or nurtured in the way that it needs to be, it will get overwhelmed and lose its ability to function really, really well. And a good example is the extremes of rosacea, where the pressure on your blood capillary network is so much so that the supply can become flooded. And the capillaries, the little vessels in the skin that allow the blood through, actually start to get completely saturated, and they just become like, ugh, and they don't pump like they used to. So they're not allowing a really free-flowing blood flow and lymph flow around the system. They're stagnating, and that's why you tend to get that sort of blotchiness. You tend to get almost what I call a butterfly effect across the cheeks and into the nose. Some people get it on the sort of central part of the chin, and in worst case scenarios, it can actually creep into the eye, and you can get the rosacea going into, you know, the ocular area. So really important to sort of be thinking about, you know, why is that skin condition causing me so much trouble? You know, what are the triggers? What do I notice? Sometimes it can be as vulnerable as just opening the oven door, and the rush of change of temperature is that's it, and you're red for hours afterwards. And it can cause some deforming of the skin itself. You'll actually maybe notice some undulating changes in your skin as a result of the swelling of the capillaries, the stagnation of the blood just sitting there and not pumping freely around the body. So it might be that I'll pull upon things like rose. Rose is beautiful because it's got anti-inflammatory qualities, it's got antibacterial qualities, and there's something about the smell of rose, and perhaps I can demonstrate it now for you, in that when you take in the aroma of rose, I always use the Rose Absolute, you just get this sense of centering, balance. You know, you come into that central part of your body, and the longer that you work with this and you have this in your skin, and therefore you're smelling it very easily, it really grounds you, really brings your breath down low into the gut, into the belly, and that calming and that groundedness, you know, really eases off the stress within the body. So you've got this lovely active ingredient working on your skin, quite literally, with that anti-inflammatory, bringing the inflammation down, the antibacterial, because sometimes with rosacea you can get skin mites, and these are often found in your lashes, and they tend to creep down onto your cheeks. So really important to get on top of that, cleanse your eyes really well as well. So rose might be a consideration. And if it's quite hormonally led, there's certainly no, you know, determined sort of outcome as to why rosacea is there. It's still a constant area of study. But if your hormones are playing a part in it, then you might want to be turning to things like Agnus castus essential oil, rose geranium, could be incorporated into your routine. So I've got a few examples right here in front of me on the table, so just to kind of act as my little reminders. But again, I will always, you know, meet you where you're at and appreciate what rosacea looks like for you. Likewise with eczema and psoriasis, I actually go in quite strong with eczema actually. One of the things that I immediately recommend is an olive oil bath. This way, whether you're, you know, splashing the skin with water on the face, you're washing the body, you're protecting yourself from hard water residue. Hard water carries bacteria. It can really dehydrate the skin. You've got to think of the lime scale build-up in your kettle and your pots and pans. Imagine what that does to the skin. So that olive oil bath is quite transformative. It's a very simple, quick, easy, you know, step in. But then you need some healing, you need some sedation, and you need to reduce your stress. You need to soothe your nervous system in order to get on top of eczema. So I do tend to go in with something like Melissa is a recommendation I'll put forward to someone. It's always an invitation to see, you know, are you going to enjoy that aroma? Now Melissa's quite a beautiful one. It's one of the most expensive oils in the world that we source as aromatherapists. But it actually grows quite abundantly in gardens, but it's often mistaken for a weed. You might know it better as lemon balm. And when you take a sniff of Melissa lemon balm, it immediately like hugs, almost puts like a coating around your nervous system. You feel that sense of calm. And again, if you're thinking about a skin concern that is really triggered by stress and anxiety, specifically on the stress panel, then I would highly recommend Melissa officinalis being on your list of things to try. So that might come up in the workshop. Now with psoriasis, I tend to treat it quite differently. It can be very angry skin and just overactive, especially when you see the skin building up and flaking. It can certainly be problematic in the scalp. Some people even find that it builds up in the ears. That can cause, affect your hearing. And some people kind of get it in patches, usually elbows, like joints, especially if you've got, rheumatism, arthritis, that type of thing, then you may find it's equally relating to that sort of stress on a joint, okay? The thing I notice about it is that it is stubborn, it just never seems to go anywhere, and you get it under control, and then just something happens, stress related often, and it comes back. And it's just this vicious cycle, and you can just never seem to shake it. You're always trying to maintain. So I do tend to actually approach psoriasis as an example with a cleanse. So I tend to bring in something like juniper, maybe fennel would be an example. And juniper's really, really good, and I've seen it work time and time again. So if you want to be creating some products with juniper to really just stop this continuous vicious cycle in your skin, then this could be the oil for you. Now, if you like drinking your gin, you'll notice that aroma, because the juniper berries are where we get that from too. This is the non-alcoholic version. So I really want you to think about these workshops as being a opportunity to get to know your skin really well, but get to know ingredients really well, so that you really can sort of think about very mindfully what goes into your skincare, and maybe what even goes into your nutrition at home day to day. See you at the workshop.